Hi, I'm Julie Dabrusin, and thank you for including me in your civics class to talk a little bit about my work as an MP. It's changed a lot over the past few months, as you might have guessed. And so this is a chance for me to talk to you a little bit about what it usually is like, but also how it's changed. So, usually, one of the questions that I get is if I moved to Ottawa to do my work, which I didn't. In fact, I live in Toronto. I always have for the time that I've worked as an MP. My family's here. But before, I used to go back and forth to Ottawa to do my work. And so I would be in Toronto and I would have a chance to go to classrooms and talk with students, have a chance to meet with people here in the community. And then I would bring back all of that feedback to Ottawa and I would get chances either in the House of Commons or in meetings in Ottawa to share that information so that we could work on different issues that were important to the community. That's changed a little bit because now I'm working entirely here from Toronto and I don't get a chance to go out to see people in the same way. So most of the way that I talk with people is either like this in ways on using different computer apps reaching out to people, but also lots of telephone calls, a lot of telephone calls. And I get that feedback. I read everybody's emails when you send me emails as well. And then when I get all of that information, we're having regular telephone calls among MPs where we get to share that information. Also, we don't have the House of Commons running in the same way right now. We have a bit of a hybrid. So some people who live closer to Ottawa, ministers and the Prime Minister, they will be in Ottawa in the House of Commons. And the rest of us are tuning in through our computers. And that's how we can actually still participate in those meetings. You can watch them if you go to the Our Commons website. You can see the meetings that are happening 4 times a week in that hybrid parliament, but there are also meetings on specific issues that might be interesting to you. And you can look those up on the Our Commons site too to see what's happening. So those are different ways that we're continuing to do our work. But now more than ever, it's really important for you to reach out to me if there's something that's important, because we aren't going to bump into each other on the street quite in the same way or at different events. So if there's something that you want to raise and that you want to see me working on, that you would like to share some ideas, please send me an email, and then we can set up a call, or I can get you more information by email. But there are ways that we can keep making sure that the community's voices are heard, because this is a time of a lot of change, and in our community across the country. And it's a real chance for me to be able to hear from you as to how we can best respond on those issues. Thank you for your questions about what what does our country look like as we transition out of this pandemic closure period, and especially what is the impact on our ongoing fight against climate change. And those are really important questions, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it too. So please send me emails. Normally, if I was in your classroom, I'd be getting your feedback in real time, but you can still reach out to me. Let me know what you think we should be doing as a government and as individuals across our community. One of the exciting moments in this, and it's been such a difficult time when we see the impact of this pandemic on everyone, but there's a pause and a chance for people to think about how we can do things differently. And in our city, one of the things we've seen is bike lanes being opened up in a larger number. That's something that I've been working on and that I think is really important, is how can federal government support our cities to do that kind of infrastructure? It sounds minor, except for when you look at cities, our largest sources of emissions are our buildings and then our transportation. So how is it that we can work with our cities to keep helping to retrofit buildings and to create systems where there are less emissions from our buildings? And there are programs that have already been in place to help with those retrofits. Some of the exciting things, like in downtown Toronto, we actually have a deep lake water cooling system that's being expanded that cools all of our hospitals downtown using water from deep in the lake. and then it actually goes through a whole bunch of pipes and becomes our drinking water. It's the N-Wave Deep Lake Water Cooling System. That's something that's been expanded. How can we keep on working on ideas like that to keep supporting our city and to reduce our emissions? How can we work on things dealing with transportation? So putting more money so that people can use public transit more easily, to make it work, to expand our public transit. How can we make it easier and safer for people to be able to cycle and to walk places as well when they can? So those are some of the important pieces. And then there's the piece as far as an industry. How do we create more green industry across our country and transition away from fossil fuels? Those are all pieces that we're already on our work lists as a government. And now is a real opportunity for us to keep pushing forward on those. So that's definitely something that we're still working on. We're continuing to work on it. And if you have ideas as to how you would like to see that happen, things that you see that are important in our community that you would like to see more work on, let me know, because we're in the most important phase in this fight against climate change. And we need to all work together to make sure that this is one that we get right. Thank you for your question about what changes we can expect for our workplaces in a post-COVID or during COVID world. And the question, I believe, came because some businesses are saying that they're not going to be working from offices anymore. They're going to be asking people who would normally work in an office to now do their work from at home. Ultimately, that won't be a government decision. Different businesses might come to different solutions, but it's really important for us to have the conversation about how does that look and what's going to be the impact on different communities. So for example, if we don't have full childcare, and we don't, what does that mean for women in the workforce who would normally work in offices? It's not easy to manage young children in the home and try to work at the same time. What's the impact for people feeling connected? There are a lot of really important questions that we're going to have to look at. And it's worthwhile for us to be having these conversations right now about, for people who would normally work in an office space, what's going to be the change that we're asking if we're working from our homes? What is the impact on access to technology? And that's where the government pieces come in. While the decisions about whether or not people will work from offices or not in the coming year, or however long it is, because it's different businesses' decisions, where the government comes in is, what are we doing to ensure that people can have access to internet, affordable access to internet? What are we doing to increase access to childcare? And those are important priorities that we do need to tackle, things that I've thought were important for a very long time. Maybe the changes that we have seen have really brought that to the forefront. So those are some of my thoughts on changing workplace. I know part of the question was, how long are we going to be in this time where people aren't working in the same way because there have been some closures? That's going to be decided by the province, and it's going to be guided by public health in large part. But we can use this moment, even if we don't know exactly how long this closure period is going to last, to really talk about what we want to see for the future, what our future workplaces and what our future country should look like. So thank you for that question. And if you have ideas, reach out to me and let me know what you think we should be working on and what we can do to help people as we go through this transition time.